us today for this important announcement regarding affordable housing in Detroit. My name is Julie Schneider. I'm the city's director of the Housing and Revitalization Department. The Duggan administration set a goal to preserve 10,000 units and develop 2,000 units of affordable housing in the city of Detroit. Since 2018, 1,300 units have either been completed or under construction of new affordable housing units, and 5,700 units of existing affordable housing has been preserved. Those numbers represent great accomplishment, but of course there is still more work to do. To announce a significant step forward in accomplishing this goal, I'd like to introduce the mayor of the great city of Detroit, Mayor Mike Duggan.
Thank you, Julie, and we're here today to celebrate our friends from KeyBank finding their way from Cleveland to the city of Detroit with this extraordinary contribution, with a $10 million contribution for the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund. They tied the Kresge Foundation for the second largest contribution that we've had. And we are continuing to be focused on the city that we want to build. I had a chance to talk to leaders in D.C. and New York who talked about the way gentrification forced longtime families out of Brooklyn, forced longtime families out of D.C. And they said if we had one thing to do over again, we'd like to rewind the clock. And before our property values started to take off, we would have acted then to preserve and build the affordable housing, not wait until the market had exploded and people were displaced. I'm very proud of the fact that in 8 years, in not one single case, have we lost affordable housing when the federal tax credits expired. In fact, we've had it happen in 5,700 units in this town, and all 5,700 got extended as affordable housing. They did not convert to market rate. They did not kick their long-term residents out. But affordable housing doesn't happen by accident. It takes an extraordinary amount of planning, and here's the problem, is that whether you are building affordable housing or housing for the wealthy, the construction costs are the same. You can't have a permanent low rental rate so that those of lower income can afford it unless somebody is subsidizing that difference. And that can be the federal government, that can be the state government, that can be city government, that can be the private sector. But what first Arthur Jemison, Donald Rencher, Julie Schneider have done is lead an effort to say nobody is going to be pushed out of this city because of our recovery. But you've seen what happened. We had 8,000 abandoned houses 8 years ago that have now been renovated and occupied by families. Property values have gone up across the city. If you own a house, it is great news. Your wealth has been increased significantly, and we want that. If you're a renter, it has made low-cost housing more difficult to find. And so we set out at the beginning and said, we're going to preserve all the existing affordable housing, and we're going to build 2,000 more units. So if folks are pushed out of a neighborhood, there's another quality option for them staying right here in the city of Detroit, because we want to keep everybody here. About a year ago, we realized that the demand for affordable housing was outstripping the government programs. And so we had an idea that we would try to raise $75 million from the private sector to go on top of all the governmental assistance, and said to everybody out there who is in the business of developing affordable housing, come to the city of Detroit. We've got this $75 million fund. We can make you low-interest loans. We can make the numbers work for you so you can build housing in the city. Now, we are basically a year later, and with the extraordinary announcement by KeyBank today, we've got $65 million of the $75 million raised. It's an extraordinary accomplishment. And I want to thank Tahira Ziegler and LISC, because we needed an agency that was going to run this program for us that had national experience. And it was really the LISC team that came in and said, $75 million fund would be a huge fund for a city the size of Detroit. Let's shoot for that as a goal. None of us knew if we could make it, but we now have 6 housing projects that are either renovating vacant apartment buildings or are building new buildings because this fund has been established, and we're going to have many more to go. And with the announcement today, we just got a big jump start. It's going to allow us to do several more projects. And with that, let me introduce the man of the hour, Derek Reed from KeyBank. Derek?
Thanks, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Derek Reed. I am a Senior Relationship Manager with KeyBank Community Development Lending and Investments, and I'm very excited to be here today with everyone and join my colleagues with KeyBank and Mayor Mike Duggan and our partners with Liz to make this very important announcement today. I'd like to start off by just telling you a little bit about KeyBank Community Development Lending and the work that we do in the community. Our group specializes in providing capital solutions for affordable housing, workforce housing, and community development projects in low to moderate income neighborhoods across the nation. And helping our communities thrive is not just our business, but it's our mission. And through the work that we do through community development lending, I'm proud to say that KeyBank is one of the few banks in the country that has received 10 consecutive outstanding CRA ratings. And in addition to that, in 2020, we were ranked as the third largest affordable housing lender in the country. So with all that said, I'm just very proud to announce that, KeyBank is committed to investing $10 million to the Detroit Housing for Future Fund. And, this is a fund that we had to be a part of. It truly represents a transformational and generational opportunity for the city and LISC. And all of us at KeyBank are very proud to be a part of this and help the city achieve their goal of preserving and creating affordable and workforce housing stock for the city. So with that said, now I want to invite my friend and colleague, KeyBank's Michigan Corporate Responsibility Officer, Yvonne Harrington, to say a few words about our commitment to Detroit, Michigan, and other communities that we serve in Michigan. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek, and good morning. I am so thrilled to be here today for the announcement that KeyBank is investing $10 million in the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund. Leading change for better and being a responsible corporate citizen is at the heart of KeyBank's purpose in Detroit and all the communities that we serve. There is no doubt that this city has been through some tough times. However, the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund is bringing that change to areas that need investment, and I applaud Mayor Duggan, LISC, and the Detroit Housing and Revitalization Department for all they're doing to make things happen in this community. In addition, I thank our Michigan Market President and Commercial Sales Leader, Dave Manarino, for all he does to make sure that KeyBank is responsive to the needs of the community here in Detroit and all the regions we serve. David very much wanted to be here today, but was not able to attend. He looks forward to building on this commitment we are making in Detroit and Michigan. This investment is part of KeyBank's National Community Benefit Plan. It started as a $16.5 billion commitment in 2017. Since then, we've invested more than $152 million in our Michigan market through the plan to support affordable housing, community development projects, small businesses, and home lending in low and moderate income communities, and philanthropic efforts targeted toward education, workforce development, and creating safe, vibrant neighborhoods. We are pleased to say that the aggregate goal of the plan was met a year early. In 2021, we increased our national commitment to $40 billion. Our investment will continue to focus on economic access and equity for underserved communities and populations. Today's announcement about our investment in Detroit Housing for the Future Fund reflects KeyBank's commitment to this market and to affordable housing that restores dignity, independence, and strengthens neighborhoods that are so vital to Detroit's continued growth. But ultimately, it speaks to our purpose of helping the communities we serve, and we want them to thrive. Now, I'd like to hand it back over to Julie Schneider.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I just want to take a moment to thank those in the city who have been working to raise these dollars and establish this fund. Keegan Mahoney, Donald Rencher, Kelly Vickers, Vance Jackson, Karen Brown, thank you for all of your work that you've done to move all of this work forward. Of course, having contributions from a great partner like KeyBank is critical to accomplishing our goals, but so is the ability to deploy the funds. You have to have a great partner, and fortunately, we have one. We have a local partner who is a national leader in these types of funds to deploy funding for affordable housing. With that, I'd like to introduce Tahira Ziegler of LISC, the Vice President for Midwest Programs.
Thank you, Julie, for that kind introduction. And thank you to the city's team for their partnership and their vision and their commitment to affordable housing innovation for Detroiters. I want to thank the KeyBank team, which includes Derek Reed, Yvonne Harrington, David Manarino, and Matthew Pitts for your commitment and investment into the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund. We're excited to be part of KeyBank's expansion into Detroit. They're joining 6 other lenders to be part of the solution of preserving and creating affordable housing and meet the demand of housing for Detroit residents. KeyBank is aligned with the Detroit Housing for the Future Fund goals to provide safe, healthy, and equitable solutions and opportunities to help Detroiters and to help Detroit residents as they are overburdened with the cost of housing. I'd also like to thank the National LISC team for their work and efforts to launch the fund, including the Strategic Investment Team, which is led by George Ashton, includes Michelle Spivak, Tiffany Durr, and Ann Geggy. And where would we be without our attorneys, our legal team, Bob Cooney and Ted Shen? The national team introduced us to KeyBank, and as a result, we're announcing this exciting new partnership. For Detroit, we're targeting housing instability for residents who have households under $50,000, and we think that housing these residents that need deeper affordability are our primary customers. We know that due to the pandemic, and you heard the mayor speak to this, we have increased construction costs. So our goal was $75 million, and we've raised $65 million to date. And that $65 million today doesn't quite have the same value as it did in 2018 when we started this work. So it's imperative that we raise additional funds to ensure we meet the housing goals and meet the housing demands of the city. So with DHFF, we're asking for more investors to join us in this effort and bring more housing units online over the next year. So we invite you to join us. So let's walk through the projects, give you an update on 4 projects that are under construction and have received DHFF funding to date. After these updates, I will introduce you to the new Executive Director of LISC Detroit, who will walk us through the 2 new projects we're announcing with this KeyBank investment today. So OC, it broke ground last year. The project is quite dynamic. It's on Grand River, a major corridor. Will bring mixed use, new construction, 30 units, and half of those units are affordable. This is a collaboration between 2 African-American developers, Rod Hardiman and George Inamdi. This is an exciting project. This project has received lots of national media, and I will say to Mayor Duggan, there's a few other Midwest mayors that like this project and want to see it in their communities. So it's slated for completion in 2023 with $470,000 in DHFF funding. $3 million we're bringing from our national LISC pool, and $150,000 developer of color grant from JP Morgan Chase. West Boston. This is a naturally occurring affordable housing project that we wanted to keep affordable. It serves households At 30 to 50% of the area median income, this project comes online from Develop Detroit and Sonia Mays and her team. We have a video online that highlights the residents of why this type of project is so important, because it is an anti-displacement project. It received $1.8 million in DHFF funding and has a March completion date. We're very excited to partner with Develop Detroit, which is an African-American-led organization. Dream Detroit, our largest development to date with 81 units to be completed this fall. It's over $20 million in terms of total development costs, and there are other CDFIs besides LISC and other partners in this financing stack. We all had to work together to get this big project over the finish line. DHFF provided $2.3 million in financing to keep over 50 of the units affordable. This is a big project, had many twists and turns during the construction process, but we're happy to announce our partnership on this project, which highlights green recycling, art and culture type live space. The Charlotte closed with $2.6 million in DHFF financing, 28 units. A third of the units are affordable for residents at 60 to 80% area median income households. Opens this spring in Plety Hill on 2nd Avenue. Great preservation of this building and architecture. So Detroit, we have great buildings with great bones, and this is truly a testament to that. I want to thank the local team for originating these developments, these four, and for the future developments that will come online, Damon Thompson, Victor Abla, and Brandon Ivory. At this time, I want to introduce you to the new LISC Detroit Executive Director, Camille Walker-Banks, who joined the LISC team in November, and she'll walk us through the new projects included in this announcement today. Camille?
Thank you, Tahira. It is an honor to work in this capacity, in this role for my hometown, leading critical initiatives that result in equitable economic opportunities for all Detroiters. The Detroit Housing for the Future Fund's impact continues as more announcements of quality, affordable housing are occurring, such as the Bell Nord on Hendry Street. With 29 renovated and 5 new units, a $2.9 million investment. And the Weber Apartments on Hazelwood with 44 newly renovated units and a $4.4 million investment. Of the 6 projects that we've highlighted here today, 30% were led by developers of color. I must say that's quite impressive. There are 5 transformative construction projects in progress across Detroit, with 7 more in the queue for 2022 completion. So thank you, KeyBank, for the investment. Thank you, Mayor Duggan, for your commitment to providing affordable housing to Detroiters. It's an exciting time for Detroit, particularly those property owners with 10+ units and aspirations to invest in their neighborhoods. So to learn more about the DHFF program, go to the website at www.detroithousingforthefuturefund.org. And thank you. Mr. Mayor.
Well, congratulations on the new position. You're off to a good start. And so with that, we'll take any questions.
Hi, Mayor. I'm hoping for a bit of a layperson-friendly explanation from you, perhaps Julie, in regard to when the money is then utilized. Does the money go to help pay the developer, and then a portion of it then goes to be the compensation for the affordability for the units, for the families, or in a layperson-friendly way, how does it happen?
So let's say you're a developer and you want to build 30 units, and those units are going to cost you whatever, $100,000 each to build, and you would have to rent them out at maybe $1,600 a month to make money. I don't know if these are real, but you throw that out. A person who's making $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a year can't afford $1,600 a month for rent. So the developer comes to this team, between the city folks, the LISC folks, the KeyBank folks, and says, I can't afford to spend $100,000 a unit and make this work. And between either grants and low-interest loans, if you're borrowing the money at 2% instead of 5% over 30 years, that drops a lot of your costs. Now maybe it's not costing me $100,000 a unit, it's costing me $80,000 a unit. And in exchange for that, you sign an agreement with us that you will have a cap on the amount that you're charging for rent. So this is a way for the person building the affordable housing to have lower costs up front, still want to do the project because it's profitable for them, but from the standpoint of the person looking for a place to rent, they just go to the affordable housing rental site, which Julie will have up and running in the next few months, and they don't need to understand all this financing. They just know if you're in this income range, here's what the rent is on that place. So basically, it lowers the builder's costs.
I'm also interested in, I'm sure every development is different potentially, but how long will that compensation be in place for families? Meaning 3, 4, 5 years from now, might they find themselves in a spot where the rent?
Most of our preservation deals are 20, 30, some of them 40 years.
Okay.
So it depends on the particular set of incentives, but I would say 20 to 30 years is typical, and some are longer.
Couple more quick ones, if my math is right. $75 million goal, 65 raised. I read in a release, 13 million roughly spent. So if I'm reading this right, just over 50 million in this fund. Are you looking to do? How are you going to do it?
Well,
and
this
how do
is
you
what we're
prioritize?
saying to everybody out there. If you have experience in building rental properties and affordable housing properties, Detroit is the place you want to be. If you've gone back 8 years and somebody wanted help, it wasn't here. Nobody here knew what the letter CDFI stood for, whereas other cities were very actively using that kind of support. So right now, having LISC, which has just an enormously sterling national reputation in doing this, knowing that you're going to approach LISC, and LISC is going to take you through all of the various financing options with the city as its partner, it's an attractive place. So anybody out there who's thinking they want to do it, there's funding available in Detroit.
The last one from me, appreciate your time, is how would you address demand in the community for these types of accommodations, and how much demand is there as best you can gauge?
Yeah, the demand continues to rise. I mean, you go back 8 years, you could rent a house, a nice house in a neighborhood for $600 a month because there were no options. Everybody was leaving this city. Now people are coming back to the city. And so our goal is, okay, you might not be able to keep renting that house in East English Village you were renting 8 years ago, but we really have a quality apartment or townhouse for you to rent in a different neighborhood because we want to keep you in Detroit. And so the demand is going up, and that's why everybody here is working so hard.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much.